Alright, so this is a review on Ruff Ryders Chronicles. This is another 5-part docu-series. And what can I tell you? I mean, I learned a hell of a lot that I didn't know. I always thought that Eve was from Ruff Ryders from the jump. I didn't know what the situation was. Do you see what I'm saying? I didn't know what the situation was. And it's interesting how, and even she mentioned about her situation. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I did hear about that before, and I'm like, okay, well, and she was right because he confirmed something. I don't want to say what it is. I want you to go watch the docu series, but like she confirmed it and mentioned about Mace discovering her, and then do you see what I'm saying? I was like, rah, that's interesting. That's interesting. You see, this is the thing about life. Like, you just network with people, you connect with people, and you help people get to where they want to get to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whether you receive, and then receive anything back or not. But then who else was there? And then I knew she was on Aftermath at one point, but I didn't know that. In fact, no, I did know because she mentioned it in an interview. But yeah, she mentioned it in an interview. I didn't know the chronological order of it. I didn't know everything about that. So that's interesting. But then not only that, but the whole DMX situation as well. I mean, raw, like DMX is just is an interesting guy. Yeah, when I say he's an interesting guy, because it's the fact of there's certain things that his own personal experiences that he's been through, like growing up as a child and stuff. It kind of like reminded you of me and my situation. I'm like, right, that's interesting. That's interesting. Like, and then it's just mad. Like, when you deep things, you're like, right, okay. And then he mentioned this in the Drink Champ interview that the guy that taught him how to rap or introduced him to rap or whatever, also, made him smoke weed and stuff like that. But then also introduced him to crack because there was crack in the weed. You see what I mean? So that's interesting. And he was very, very young at that time. So, and then the whole Dean family as well. Big up the Dean family, because I remember Swiss Beats again in a Drink Champs interview. Big up Nori and DJ EFN and everyone there. Yeah, it's interesting about that family in particular. Like, they really built Ruff Ryders and did what they did, and somehow they just end up having a nephew named Swiss Beats that knows how to produce. Now his sound was, some say it wasn't traditional type of thing, but he did his thing and it worked. And when I think of Ruff Ryders, I usually think of Swiss Beats anyway. Like, I don't really think of the other producers. No disrespect to them, but it's just the sound. It's just that sound. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, it's hard to explain, but yeah, man, it's something you definitely need to go watch, regardless of where you're from. And I like the way they expanded on Ruff Ryders. It was more than an entertainment company, and how they ended up getting like people together, and then they had the tour with Cash Money. I was like, raw. And then the way that they went about getting the tour with Cash Money, and man, listen, you see life. And it's the fact that they took what they learned from the streets and put that into business. Like, there's many examples where those that come from the road end up, doing certain things, innit? And then also it's the fact of, also I forgot to mention, about the Dean family, about the two brothers doing their thing. And excuse me, wow. Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, it's something I recommend that you go watch. I 100% recommend you go watch. It's one of those things where you question like, raw. To be fair, me growing up, right, I caught like not the end of it, but it was more or less like from the 2000 era. That's when I really paid attention to it, because shit, Eve was one of my fucking crushes. I'm going to fucking say it, yeah. And there was loads of women, yeah. Don't even lie to yourself, yeah. They went and got the paws tattoos on their fucking breasts. If I'm lying, I'm flying. I like to be flying anyway, but like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, there was enough women who put paws on their tattoo. They put paws tattoos on their breast, like Eve. That's how influential Ruff Ryders were, and Eve in general. But then, if you look at Ruff Ryders, that double R. And I didn't know about the whole lock situation with Bad Boy. I thought they signed to Bad Boy and then they had to go, and then they went to Ruff Ryders and stuff like that, and then they changed their name. But no, they were always Ruff Ryders, but they had to sign a deal with Diddy at the time, or Puff Daddy at the time, with Bad Boy, and then they ended up being back on Ruff Ryders, but this time on the entertainment company, the label, all that stuff. That, like, yo, life is interesting, man. And it's interesting because I think they didn't even mention about Swiss Beats now doing the versus battles. They didn't even mention about Eve and her TV show, Eve. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've even got her theme song in my fucking head. Do you see what I mean? And just the other day I was watching the episode of a sitcom, I forgot the name of the Parkers. And I didn't realise that one guy, even though it's only in 2 episodes, it's like he was in Eve. He played the majority in Eve. Like, I don't know how many episodes there was, but the majority of them. Do you see what I'm saying? So he built it way up. Like, this is what I'm trying to say. It's like, when you do one thing and you not do another thing, then do another thing, then you do another thing, you just diversify. So that's another thing that I learned from that Ruff Ryders Chronicles. It's interesting, man. It's interesting. Like, it does in some ways remind me of the Master P Chronicles, No Limit Chronicles, because it's the same thing. He diversified, and so did Ruff Ryders. So big up everyone at Ruff Ryders. But anyway, yeah, go watch that. Definitely go watch that. I'm giving that a 10 out of 10. Yeah, man. Everyone did their thing. Everybody involved did their thing. And then then the next generation of Ruff Ryders is about to do their thing. The Little Wah and is it Little Wah and Medium Raw? When I'm like, Medium Raw? Nigga, what? But shit. That's the name, and that's the name. You gotta rock with what you gotta rock with, innit? But I wasn't really feeling his sound per se, because I'm thinking, if it's Ruff Ryders, you need that grit, that sound, that street shit. But at the same time, if you look at the streets now and what they're rocking with, it's still grimy, but it's more, I don't know. We'll see what they come up with. Get me? And I like how instead of having the actual motorcycles, because of their age, do you know what I mean? They got the actual bicycles and shit, like, or the whatever you want to call it, choppers and shit. Like, it's an interesting thing. It's interesting, you know, trying to follow in their father's footsteps. So I respect that. But anyway, even though their father didn't rap, but now they're gonna rap and continue on the legacy of Ruff Ryders. The same way Little Romeo was carrying the legacy of No Limits, and he's still doing it till this day. You see what I mean? But anyway, yeah, go watch that. But also, listen, I do want to say one thing. There's a link in the description box below where it says make a donation. You can make a donation of any amount, alright? Especially if you want us to continue going and growing. If you've got any questions, any topics you'd like for us to discuss on the videos, leave it in the comment section below. And remember, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, because you never know, the video you suggest might just be next.